Carman and Paul Ahnert.
And welcome to Road Less Traveled, episode 29. Hey there, Bryan.
How's it going?
Excited to be here today with the band Weapons of God. And we're going to get to hear about what they've been doing and new stuff coming up, hopefully, and plans for shows. And just really excited about hearing about that. Bryan?
Would you consider getting my tablet for me? And seeing if we could do it on that. I'm just having a hard time hearing them.
Oh.
Thank you, my
We
love.
can hear you, Ed, just fine.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Well, I'm having a hard time hearing you guys. For whatever reason, I'm having a hard time hearing you guys.
I'm looking at
we can hear you
can't
really
change
well.
your settings. So,
Well, I'm going to go grab my tablet and see if that'll improve things.
okay. You want me to take you out of the show until you get that set up?
No, I'll keep rolling.
Okay.
Just mute him.
So this is the beauty of live, ladies and gentlemen.
My kind-hearted missus has helped me out with the technical difficulties.
All right, very good. So, welcome, guys. We're so excited to have you guys on the show today. What's new? What's new musically going on?
All of it. All of it's new.
Well, I got some CDs that you've had in the past. I got a couple of your albums here that we can talk about. So we got this one and this one. So
nice.
What's going on new besides that?
Well, we've been pressing hard for the last 4 or 5 months, working on new music. Next studio album. We're going to the studio April 26th to cut our third CD. So
the tentative release date is August 29th, same day as Immortal Fest.
Awesome. Steve, do you want to introduce the band and tell everybody who plays what, and then we'll let everybody just kind of share a little something about themselves?
Sure. Well, I'm Steve McGowan, singer, guitar player. You have Ed over here, Ed Girard on the bass guitar, Leon Black, vocals, guitar, and Jason Harmon, drums, pickle flute, kazoo, electric triangle. I don't know.
Electric triangle.
That's the most shocking instrument I play.
I've never heard of electric triangle. That's pretty cool.
Shocking. Every time you hit it, ding, zap.
Yeah, that's the reason I'm the only one in the world that plays it.
All right. So, Jason, let's go ahead and hear a little bit about your background and who you are and what you got going on.
So I've been playing music really for a long time. I'm sorry. What were you saying, Rochelle?
That was Ed. Ed.
Oh,
mute.
sorry, Ed.
Ed.
Sorry, my bad. I've been playing music for a long time. I started off playing snare drum in a band when I was, or in the school band when I was 10. Moved to guitar a little bit when I went to college, and then just kept on the track, picked up bass, a little bit of keyboards. So I do a lot of everything. The only thing I don't like doing is singing. So when I send a demo out to everybody, I really have to cringe because I just don't like the sound of my voice and I can't sing really all that well. But been in, a couple different bands, filled in for Weapons of God a few years ago when they lost their drummer. So I know how hard it is to find, a decent drummer. I wouldn't call myself a good drummer. I'd call myself a decent drummer. And that's dependable. So I show up and bang on stuff and still here. So yeah, I'm happy to be part of these guys. Great group of guys. Rochelle's wonderful. Just really happy to be a part and contribute.
All right, excellent. Steve, hotspot. Tell us about yourself. Introduce your wife. Let her tell us her role in the band. No?
Well, first of all, this is not my wife.
Okay.
I thought we got that cleared when we met in Tennessee.
No, you did not. Sorry.
Okay. Well, that's all right. Everybody mistakes us for being a married couple, but this is my sister-in-law.
Aha.
She's managing the band. She's helping with the finances, the account, the psychiatrist, anyway. But
We've been around each other since '93, so you know.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's all right. It's not the first time it's happened. Well, I originally started the band back in 2013. Started working on home recordings. And then band members come and go. You know, some band members don't work out, some do. Leon came in on the scene about 2000. When was it? About the end of 2015. And then Ed, he joined in about 2018 or 2019, the same year the first CD came out. And then, we've had a couple of drummers that's, come and gone. And then Jason, he's been with us for the last couple of years. So since Jason's been with us, he's been a real blessing in the writing, contributing to the writing, songs, and everything else. He's been incredible. So glad to have him on board.
Did the other drummers combust? Just kidding.
You ever seen the movie Spinal Tap? Yeah, that's what happened. We can't keep drummers.
You're that band.
Well, one of the drummers, the first drummer, was a friend of ours, and then he moved out of state, and so he left. And then Leon and I had a mutual friend, which is how Leon came into the band, because Danny had wanted to play with us, and
his name was Danny Hayden.
But then he passed away about 8 months after he came. So it's just kind of yeah.
All right.
We lost Leon. Where did Leon go?
I don't know.
Yeah, Leon's back. Let me bring him in. All right, Leon's here.
All right, that was the shortest battery life ever for a laptop.
Oh no.
We were just talking about you and Danny.
If not,
I thought you may have internally combusted.
This is our technical
I did, but I rematerialized before I turned the camera back on.
Nice. One of your many talents.
Well, you know.
All right, well, Leon, tell us. I'm sorry,
Go
go ahead, Bryan.
I was just saying, so far we're having a lot of fun with technology.
Yeah, we're definitely having a lot of fun with technology. Leon, tell us about yourself, your role in the band, what's going on in your life.
Life is good. I'm working and still got a house and a roof over my head. My role in the band is guitar, vocals, and general agitation. So, yeah, that's what I do. Having a really good time writing with these guys right now. So, looking forward to hopefully getting this stuff laid down and get the new music out so people can hear it.
Where are you at in the process right now for the new music?
Writing. We're still writing, touching up some songs and finishing up some other stuff. But we'll be, like they said, we'll be jumping into the studio here in a couple weeks, and hopefully everything goes smooth.
Yes.
We'll see.
And Ed.
Hi.
Can you hear us well now?
It's still kind of faint, but I'll manage. I'll be all right.
All right. So tell us about your role in the band. What's going on with you?
Well, I've been with these guys for, I want to say it's 2018. As a young pup of 15, I started my musical journey on actually guitar. And while it was fun, I was always fascinated to bass. And believe it or not, Gene Simmons is the one that, I saw those big fat cables he was smashing on, and hence the Call of the Wild made me a bass player. So I got my first bass when I was 21, I think, 2021. And it's definitely been a journey. Played in several bands, different studio experiences, live experiences, and it's been good. It's been good. It's been a lot of like different ways of, different experiences and just different people, different influences. And these guys will tell you I'm a definite Iron Maiden freak. Steve Harris is definitely my mentor on the bass. Although that's not to say I don't respect a lot of other bass players too. John Entwistle, Geddy Lee, Ian Hill. I could go on and on. But I really, to get to the point of this band's journey, we've endured a lot. I mean, we've been through some thick and thin, and I think we're really doing well because this new effort of ours, this new CD, is definitely come together nicely, and we're really excited because we got some really cool material to turn to the world when it's ready to go. So I'm really excited to see the response. So it's going to be really cool.
Oh, very good. We're excited to hear about it too, or hear it when it comes out. We're going to go to our comment section real quick.
Okay.
Bryan, you want to read the comments?
Sure. Got Paula says, "Hey everyone, putting the kids to bed, but will be present as soon as I can be. Looking forward to the show." And then Chrissy says hello. Rob Lowe says hola, my friends. Joshua says hi, and Rob Lowe says awesome. So I can't remember what we were talking about when he said that, but there's our comments for now.
All right. So welcome to everyone that's listening. We're glad to have you on board. And we got some. So Bryan, I knew you had some questions you wanted to ask before we go to the music.
Well, they answered one. So you talked about the turnover. So it's been kind of consistent, the turnover in the band, or has it been spread out over time? Anybody can answer.
I must have missed part of your conversation. Not sure how we got.
Yeah, you were gone.
Yeah. So
It's been
combustion mode.
It's been spread out. It's not quick turnovers.
Okay.
Our first drummer was there a couple years, and then I told him about how Danny came and how you came with Danny, and then Danny passed away. And we had a couple other drummers, and it was a couple years in between. Like Jason's been here 2 years, so it's just been. It's like every CD has a new drummer.
You must have been gone when we talked about the Spinal Tap reference. The drummers just explode. And then I want to talk to the guitar players. So which gear do you guys use? Which guitars do you like the best, and what kind of like effects do you use? What pedals?
I'll go.
Okay.
I use a ton of different guitars. I have quite a collection of guitars. My favorites are probably my cheaper ones. Some of those cheaper brands out there that you can afford. I do have a couple of more expensive guitars. Probably mostly live. I play my Schecters.
Okay.
Rig-wise, I bounce around between amps as well. Kind of always chasing after my own sound, but I like to tweak gear and play with amplifiers and that kind of thing. So right now, my live rig is actually, the front end is a Nuex MG30 with a MIDI commander pedal that I use to control it, and I'm running into a Thunder 99 custom 100-watt stereo pedal amp into a custom wired stereo 412. That's what I run pretty much every time we play.
Cool.
So, but yeah, I'm a gearhead. You get to talking about gear, and
yeah,
this
that
conversation could go on really long.
That sounds pretty complex. Because I just run mine through a Marshall half stack and a Boss foot pedal, and I basically record with my Eddie Van Halen 5150 series guitar. I really like it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I am recording. I have so many different options. I'm a gear head, and I like to try out gear, dabble with it. I buy and sell gear. I repair gear. Probably spend at least as much time messing around with gear as I do playing, and maybe more than I should.
Yeah, but that's cool though, because I'm a guitar player too. So,
but I actually keep a guitar player sitting next to me in my recliner in my living room that I pick up probably every day to some extent. There's a day or two goes by when I don't grab it, but I play some, at least a little bit every day.
Cool.
So
Steve, you play guitar also, you said?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your gear.
Well, I've got Schecter Hellraiser and the Schecter Apocalypse that I use for my live performance. I've got a 1993 Crate Stealth amp, half stack 100-watt amp that I've had since 93. So I've been using that ever since. As for pedal wise, I'm using the Boss GT6 for my pedals.
Okay.
For my effects and all that. So, yeah. I'm not so much of a gearhead like Leon is. I mean, I do.
When Steve has problems with his gear, he brings it to me.
Yeah,
I work on mine and his.
He's actually replaced the tubes in my Stealth head. That I think it was the first time that they were replaced. When would you do that? Probably about 5 years ago or so.
I was trying to talk you into bringing in an amp to rehearsal way back when we first started, instead of playing through the PA system. And you brought it in. It played it for a little bit, and surprisingly, it hadn't had tubes since 1993. So believe it or not, it was a little wonky. So he picked up the parts, and I brought it home and retubed it and rebiased it and everything else. And then he's been using that since. So it's a great amp. It's one of the really good tube amps that Crate made, the Stealth 100, and they also made a Stealth 50-watt. It was very similar, but great sounding little amp for sure.
Now you guys are signed by Rox Records, correct?
Yes.
Have you been all of your albums so far through Rox?
Yes.
They are.
Yep.
So am I.
All right.
For tonight,
representing.
Nice.
Because we are resolute.
Right on.
And
Nice.
Dale just came on, so I want to do a shout out to Dale, our vocalist.
Hey,
Dale
Dale.
What's up, Dale?
That's all I have for now. You want to ask a question there, Paul?
Yeah. So, you guys got to open for Immortal. What was that like? That must have been pretty incredible. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that was pretty exciting. It was when got the email, I was really, really surprised that they reached out like they did, and I would say that was probably the biggest crowd that we had ever played for. It was a lot of fun. It was very exciting. I had a good time.
I did too. I really enjoyed it. It was a cool environment. We played with some bands that we've played with before in other venues. Good people we know. Got to meet Pastor Bob again. I had met Pastor Bob Beeman from back in 1988, I think, at Cornerstone at one point in time. Of course, he didn't remember me nearly so much as I remembered him, but it was really cool. Cool venue, great people. Had a blast. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a cool stage, and it's a cool place to play. So looking forward to doing that again.
Yeah, we're excited to be going back again this year.
Yeah, it's great venue for sure. The staff there was amazing. The way that they were able to set up and transition, the way that they were able to dial in the sound, it was so much easier to really execute a great performance because of the folks that were working behind the scenes for
That's
sure.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, for a stage that size and that many bands, that was the smoothest set changes that probably I've ever experienced, even in small places with just one other act. But they were very efficient. The guys that were running sound there were just outstanding. It was a good time.
Indeed, yeah.
And the food was good too that they fed us. Fed us some fried chicken that was quite tasty after our set.
Great.
Yeah, I'm sorry, our green room that behind the stage, we didn't have any food for you, so.
Yeah, I didn't get the rider, so I didn't know
Green
that.
room over there.
We left
So,
the brown
yeah.
M&Ms in though, unlike Van Halen. So it was all good.
Yeah.
I mean, don't all M&Ms really taste alike?
They
Am I
taste
wrong about that?
No, they
Right.
do. And
Am I an
I had a
outlier?
little container of M&Ms at work on my desk, and I suddenly discovered I don't really like M&Ms.
I'll take them.
All taste the same.
Yeah.
So I remember talking to Steve and Rochelle. I remember talking to you guys at Immortal in 23 and talking about the desire you guys had to get to play at Immortal the following year. And, you know, I know there was a lot of prayer and a lot of behind the scenes work to get that to happen. So that was really cool. And I, man, like I said, I told you guys before the show, I had my hotel rooms booked for Immortal last year, and both weekends I had to cancel my plans and not be able to go. So this year, fully planned, fully intend to be at both weekends, and we'll be so excited to see you guys all play live. So
Right on.
really looking forward to that.
Where are you at, Paul?
I'm in Knoxville.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and you guys had that Cookville show, and I was fully intending to come out to Cookville, spend the night out there, and once again, you know, tell God your plans and hear them laugh. So
We had a good time at that show too. That was fun.
yeah, I was bummed for missing that one. So
Might be the smallest stage. Well, maybe second smallest stage we've ever played.
I was gonna say,
It worked out really well. It was the only stage I was ever on that I was afraid that I might fall off if I didn't watch my step.
Yeah, but the thing that was great about that show was just the people that were there. It had a good turnout and just great, real, fun people to be around. So that was, for me, that was a highlight.
So
Yeah, I would agree with that.
what's a big highlight from the road? I mean, you get to interact with a lot of people. You probably get to minister to some people. What's because, you know, why do we do this? We do this to glorify God first and foremost. That's a given. So somebody want to tell a story about on the road or a show or where you really got to impact somebody's life?
Well, I would mention we played, and this has been a while back, but we played a little club down in, is that in Erlanger, Kentucky?
Erlanger.
It was Peacocks. I don't think it's there anymore, but we were supposed to play with Pretty Boy Floyd, and it was like 3 other bands, I think. Well, Pretty Boy Floyd ended up canceling. They got a little scared of the COVID and didn't come out, but we played anyways. And it was really cool. After our set, I had more than one person come up to me and say something to the extent of, you know, we hear what you're singing about up there, and you know, it takes a lot of guts to come into a you know, backroom dive club and play with these other bands and get up on stage and proclaim the gospel. And I was thrilled that they paid enough attention to catch the words and you know, everything else. So it was that was, to me, that was a little bit of a highlight, I guess, at that show. We ended up having a good show, that whole thing, with you know, some other conversations with some people. I won't go into a whole lot of detail, but one person in particular that said that she felt led to come in there that night, and when she did, she ended up needing prayer, and we had good conversations and prayer out back after the show, witnessing, and that was that like was the highlight of the night. You know, even if it's just one, if you touch only one, it's worth the effort. So we'll keep trying.
It's all about
You know,
the Lord.
Leon, that's funny that you mentioned that because I used to have another band called Otherwise Broken, and this mom called us and booked us to play at this biker bar.
Yeah.
Her son had died, so we got free food, and we told him don't pay us. But I went in there like kind of nervous. There's some rough and tumble dudes and all these bikes everywhere, but they ended up liking us, and it wasn't a Christian atmosphere at all. So I had a little bit of experience on that. So it is frightening, but when you do it, it's really good to know that you touch someone's life with the gospel. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I meant. I wouldn't say we were afraid to go in there and play necessarily. It's just with the style of music, the size of the venue, the volume of everything, you don't necessarily expect people to catch. It's like they caught every word. And we're talking about the songs and which lyrics and things like that. And
that's really cool.
You know, your average listener sometimes doesn't listen to music enough to catch on to everything going on in a live show. But it was, it meant a lot to me, just, you know, that we had their attention. And the reason we had their attention was because of what we're singing about and because of giving God the glory. So it comes back around.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, because we were doing, back when Metal Mission was a thing, our ministry, we were doing shows in clubs like that as well. We'd get Place of Skulls was our kind of our house band, because Victor Griffin and I had started the ministry together. And first night I got up in a secular club to preach the gospel, I was terrified. I had no clue what kind of reception I was going to get. And but the Lord blessed it, and it was good. And we went back 5 more times and did it. So,
Nice.
Those of you guys that have bands out there that are just wanting to play to Christian venues, don't miss opportunities like that, because there's reception. And there's opportunity. That's where the big opportunities are.
Right on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always encourage folks to just follow the model of Jesus. I mean, he preached in the synagogue. He preached to, you know, receptive audiences, but he also went where the need was. When you go where the need was, that's generally where you're going to get the best results.
I see things differently than they do, because they're on stage and I'm taking photographs and going around with the people. And we've had they played in Lima, and there was a woman that it was the weekend of the fair, and she had bought a little plastic Ouija board,
like a little novelty. It wasn't the actual real board, but it was a novelty thing that they were selling there. And
she was walking down the street, and Ed asked her to come in. It was really hot, and sit under the tent. So she stayed. Well, during the song Ghost, which is about his past of ghost hunting instead of holy ghost hunting, it was playing, and she said that this Ouija board got hot. And we ended up praying for her. She gave it to me. And then she ended up going to church there for at least a month or 2 afterwards.
She joined the choir and
and then we the same place that Leon was talking about, there was a guy that was headbanging the whole night.
Yeah, that was a different place. That was in Addison.
Oh yeah, it was Addison, Ohio. And while they were playing, our ex-pastor was there, and he saw it. During Ghost, it's like he was almost hissing. He couldn't headbang. He couldn't go up front sing. He couldn't do anything, and he ended up leaving in the middle of the set because he couldn't deal with the music. And when we were down in Cookeville, Tennessee,
and we were the only Christian band there that night. We were actually opened up for a band called Out of Darkness. I don't know if you're familiar with Brent Smedley.
Yeah,
he used to be the drummer for Iced Earth. It was his band, and we were opening up that night.
And down in Cookeville, I mean, there was people praying during Ghost. I mean, I see it more during that song, I think, because of the spiritual nature of the two. But there were people praying down there, and they were praying over them. And I hear people talking in other songs that they sing that they don't get to hear and see because they're up there playing. But they do reach people.
So that brought up an interesting topic, ghost hunting. So you did that, Steve, for a while?
Yeah. I was brought up in church. You know, I was baptized when I was 13. And then when you get married and life takes over and marriage and kids, and you kind of just fall out of the church. And your life goes a different path that you don't expect it to. My path went down this dark road where I was playing with Ouija boards, playing around with witchcraft stuff, probably listening to some of the bands I probably shouldn't have been listening to. But my biggest passion became ghost hunting. And because the house I was living in at the time, there was strange things that was happening. And, you know, they always say, be careful what you wish for. Well, I had wished for a lot of things. Like I was aware of who God is and what God can do. But it's like, all right, so what's to this dark side? How, you know, it's like, how much could it really manifest? What can you know, I wanted to see, I wanted to know, you know, and then next thing you know, I got involved with some people. They were ghost hunters, and I got involved with them with these places, grave sites and everything else. And let me tell you, it's real. But I will say, when it comes to ghosts, it took me getting back into church to realize how wrong I was about the whole ghost hunting thing. I was believing that it was your grandparent, your mother, your little kid or whatever. You know, I believed that until I got back into church and my eyes were open to it more. Then I realized that this is just deceivement, the devil. These are just nothing but, you know, just evil spirits. Because, you know, the devil knows your heart and desire just as much as God does. But I think the devil's he's quicker to give you your desire than what God, you know, God teaches us patience. It's his timing, you know.
Yeah.
And that it opened my eyes to a lot of things. And, you know, I was just so drawn into the whole ghost hunting thing. When I got out of it and everything, I don't know what it would be like to be on drugs and come off of it, but I will say that it was a withdrawal. That, you know, I was having nightmares. I'd wake up in the middle of the night screaming that demons and stuff coming after me when I was trying to get away from it. And before, I was so vulnerable to it that I wasn't even scared of it, you know, till I started getting away from it. And it was like, I felt like it was trying to, you know, keep me there, like sucking me back in and everything else. And so, but yeah, that's the path that I took. And, you know, and like a drug addict, you know, I have to be careful because I'll see things like on Facebook and stuff like that. That'll draw my attention and be like, oh, you know, but then I have to question, well, is it real? Because, you know, in nowadays technology and, you know, it just, you don't know what's real anymore. You know, you don't know what you see or anything else, but I will say it's real. It is real. You've had the experience, and when you've had things happen to you and seen things happen to you, it's real. It's a real deal.
Yeah, I've had those experiences myself, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And yeah, and glad you and I both grew out of that and away from that and
So
recognized what it really is.
So you were into it.
Well, every house I grew up in as a kid had spiritual activity in it.
Okay.
And so it was just around, and it was almost like I almost thought of these things as like just pets that were in the house. And so it was, you know, and there was Ouija boards, and there was, you know, all the stuff, you know, you talked about. And then coming into the Christian realm, having the opportunity to do some deliverance, you know, some deliverance opportunity, talking with people that are actually possessed, and having those encounters. So seeing it from both sides with both perspectives, and it's and you recognize how dangerous just dabbling is, you know. And I'm glad you brought that up, because even just dabbling, you know, playing with a Ouija board, tarot cards, just playing around, thinking it's a game, it's a toy,
opening doors.
Hey,
you're opening doors.
I got something real quick. I'll try to do the Reader's Digest version. Remember back in the 1980s when backward masking came onto the scene and it was a real big thing?
Oh yeah.
So my brothers, I had one brother on my left and one on the right, and we had the old record player. And so we put Judas Priest Screaming for Vengeance album on, and I did it backwards all the way through the whole album. Nothing was there the first time, But the second time I'm doing it backwards and I'm looking at my brother, looked at him, the other brother, and all of a sudden it goes, nice and calm. He will seduce you. His hands will never release you. And I'm like, did you hear that? Then as I turned to say that to my one brother, I kept the speed the same. And it goes, worship me. And I'm like, whoa, did you hear that? Worship me. And we all fell backwards.
What?
Now, my one brother committed suicide, but so he can't be a witness of it. But my other brother, Kurt, lives in Georgia, and he would testify I wasn't just tripping because he heard it too. So I spent the next hour trying to find that again, because you know that the backward masking is implanted into the vinyl. It wasn't there.
Really?
And about a year later, I became a Christian. So
Wow.
I think it was the devil trying to grab a hold of me and say, because he knew I was getting close. Because I had been back in the party scene 6 months at church, and then go back, and my friends would always go, "Where's Bryan? Oh, he went to church. He'll be back."
Wow.
So yeah, that was real, and so I can attest to the spirit world. I mean, I haven't lived a whole life like you did in it, prior to my salvation, but wow, that was like an eye opener there.
That's crazy. Yeah, that almost reminds me of the scene. I don't know if you remember the movie back in the day, Trick or Treat. Sammy Kerr.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of reminds me that there was a scene in the movie where this kid was playing the record backwards and it was talking to him. That's kind of made me think about. Yeah.
Yeah, the funniest thing was, if it was just put there by the band or the producers, that's one thing. We couldn't find it anywhere. I combed that whole album. It was not there anymore.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. It gave me goosebumps just talking about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
So don't play with stuff, man. That's the lesson of that whole segment right there. We got some comments we're going to look at real quick. We got Stephen Sharon Lowmaster said, hello, guys.
Hey, Sharon.
And Judah was wearing his Weapons of God t-shirt at the Barren Cross show Saturday.
Right on. Rock on, Judah.
Love little Judah.
Larry says hello from your number one fan in Detroit, Michigan.
What's up, Mr. Larry?
And he says Ghost is an awesome song. And then Rob Lowe says backmasking. I had a record that I played maybe half of the first song. Could have sworn I heard something. Yeah, you probably did, because it's a real thing.
Yep.
So now let's listen to some frontwards music that has a good message. So that for a segue. So we got 3 clips here, and let's talk about the first one we're going to play is Decline. You guys want to talk about that one?
What, playing it now, or?
I got it queued up, and I think it's way low in the background.
Yeah, I can hear it way low in the background.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it up more.
Yeah, so that's a song that I wrote with with another band I was in a while back. It is pretty much what it's about, that the world seemingly keeps getting worse. We go back to that patience, where we have to be patient. We have to wait on God and God's time. Is the way that song kind of wraps up. But it was kind of a rehearsal room song that we wrote live in the rehearsal room. Just started off with a riff and then turned into something else, and then it ended up just being a pretty simple song for the most part. But it felt fitting when after we got together with these guys with Weapons, it felt fitting to kind of resurrect it and give it a little more of a positive bent. There was bands that I was in back in the day that me and a couple of the other guys that I was in bands with, we would sneak Christian ideals into our secular music. And this kind of felt good in a sense to pull one out that we could kind of turn it around the other way a little bit and make it into I think a good song, a fun song to play. It's about, like I said, the world in decline, and I'm mostly glad that we were able to get in and do some recordings of it, because I never did any real recordings with those other bands. A lot of bootleg stuff, but nothing serious. So it was very cool to get in the studio with these guys and make that song a little more permanent, I guess. So
nice. All right, well, let's take a listen. So that's pretty heavy, which I like a lot.
cool.
So for our listeners that may not be familiar with your music, is that what they're going to expect from a Weapons of God album? That heavier, crunchy sound with clean vocals?
Oh, absolutely.
Lots of keyboards, and don't forget about the electric triangle.
Electric triangle, yes. I'm so intrigued about that electric triangle.
You guys saw that commercial, right? Where I forget what it's for, but it's a whole band up there, and then the guy is playing the triangle like it's the lead guitar. He even falls backwards. I don't even know what the commercial is for, but I thought it was pretty funny. So,
yeah, I think we bring a lot of variety. All of us, kind of have similar but different influences. I think I tend more towards some of the darker, heavier stuff. I'm perfectly fine listening to music where you can't understand the words at all. I tend to oftentimes think of the voice as another instrument that adds another layer to the music. It certainly is better for me personally if I know there's something positive behind it, because I'll always seek out. I buy physical media. I don't really buy. I don't do Spotify. I don't do streaming. I don't do any of that. I buy CDs. I try to buy them when I can directly from those bands that are putting those CDs out in order to support that music that way. But I like to have a physical jewel case, liner notes, hopefully lyrics, some credits. I like to know who produced, who engineered. The technical side of things
exactly
interests me. So, but I listen to some music probably that would give the rest of the band headaches pretty quickly.
No, it might not. It does.
It does. Honesty is the best policy.
But it's great stuff. I mean, musically, it really kind of pushes the boundaries, and I think that's good to be exposed to for sure.
Yeah,
Hey,
I like
have
a lot
an
of
observation.
stuff.
Is Ed the quiet one in the band?
Only when his mic is broken and he can't hear.
Oh, is that what's going on?
I think he's still struggling with his audio.
I think Ed muted himself because I've been trying to unmute him and he's not. So I can't even unmute him. So I think he muted himself.
Hey,
Just a little.
Can you hear me now?
Hey,
there you are.
Yeah, my apologies for the technical difficulties, guys. I'm just trying to work this out so I can hear you better.
Yeah, sometimes you can't do anything about it, so it's okay.
Right,
How's
but
the audio now? Is
I'm
it better?
not blasting your head off, am I?
No, not at all.
No.
Well, just kind
Anyway.
of from the relative to the new material, I think it's relative to the first two albums. It might be a little bit more varied. There's some songs that are that run long and they have different parts. Everything's really interesting. Then there's a couple that are relatively short, really driving, punching to the point. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a style change, but I think at the root it still retains the Weapons of God feel and sound. So
I like to think we jump around a little bit style wise, anyways.
Yeah.
At least within the metal realm. You're not going to get any hip hop from us directly.
No.
We might collaborate with some people. We didn't have any problem with some collaboration.
Yet.
Probably not going to break out any techno anytime soon, although I do love me some techno and some electronic music, but it's just I think it's just an extension, like Jason said. It's a little bit of a different feel, I think, than the first two records. But then, at least in my mind, the second record had quite a different feel than the first record. So,
now I have a question.
Yeah,
it sounds like you guys have multiple people writing the lyrics and the music. Is that true?
Yeah. Yes.
So,
Yeah,
who's the main one? Like, who approves it all and all that kind of stuff?
Rochelle.
One of the things,
if she doesn't approve it, then we're not allowed to do it. Sometimes she sends us to the closet in our corner and makes us stare at the wall for
with a dunce cap on.
Yeah, can't believe you wrote that. How dare you write that and bring that in here? Go stand in the corner.
For We Are Resolute, I'm the songwriter, and I like how it's fun when I get a collection of songs together, putting them in order to make a flow.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? Because, like, you said, Leon, that people nowadays, when they listen to like Spotify, iTunes, and they buy songs, they might listen to a song scattered all over. Where me as an artist, I like to put them in order and a nice flow so they get a good feel. And a lot of the young people are missing that. So,
yeah, I agree. I'm an album guy. I like to listen to an album. If I hear, it can come on anywhere, but if you're on your random playlist and I hear track 3 from this album that I like, I expect track 4 to play after that and 5 after that and so on. Do
you find your mind like right when that one song ending, the next one's already starting in your head?
Yeah. So yeah, I was. So we've been talking about this some as we're kind of wrapping up the writing process on some of these things, and that's one of the things I've mentioned to all of them quite a bit, really. I don't know how other people listen to music. I know when I listen to music, it's usually a pretty intimate process. I get really pretty much like to block everything else out and really spend time with the music.
Same here.
And I've mentioned multiple times to them that, we need to start thinking of things as a flow and how these songs are going to work together on the record. So I do that. I'll play with playlists of, even if they're just rehearsal recordings of stuff that we've written, but I'll play with playlists and move the songs around in different order and then go back and listen through, looking for exactly what you're talking about, Bryan, looking for a flow. Yep. There's nothing, I've had plenty of good albums. I've heard plenty of good albums, I guess, that have not much flow to them, but just good songs.
Right.
But there's something about listening to a whole record that when you feel like you're done and when it's over, that you experienced an entire album and not just, hey, that was a cool song, or that, that fourth song he played was cool, but, and the rest of it's gone. So, I don't know what people think of it as far as musically. I'm interested in a sense to see what kind of response it gets, because it is a little bit stylistically, it's a little bit different. And I think that, but the more we've put these songs together and done it fairly quickly, at least in my view, I tend to work at a snail's pace myself, but I'm really pleased with what I'm hearing. There's a lot of what we're doing makes me want to back the track up and listen to it again. And that's one of the things I think for me and music I've been involved with writing is the good stuff is the stuff that, like for me, I've been in bands for a lot of years, but there's stuff that, I wrote with some guys 25 and 30 years ago that I can still go back to and go, yeah, those are good songs. We wrote some good music. So maybe not everything we wrote, but it's nice to have a few here and there anyway. So,
in the writing process, anybody could answer this that's involved in your guys' writing. Isn't it cool when you're sitting down, you don't have any ideas, and all of a sudden God will tell me, go pick up your guitar. And I'm like, all right. Next thing you know, I've got goosebumps. I'm going, ooh, and I'm writing it down and I'm getting all excited. Talk about the writing process as far as being excited about it and knowing that it's coming from the Lord.
Well, just to finish up what I was saying, that's kind of, I spent a lot of time sitting by myself with headphones on, playing my guitar. And these guys would tell you I've got probably hundreds of riffs, not necessarily hundreds of songs, but a lot of parts. But I know what you mean. There'll be times when I take my dog outside in the yard, and all of a sudden I get something in my head where I'm like, okay, hurry up and do your business, because I need to go back inside and sit down and play this guitar, or pick up a pen and paper and start writing lyrics and things down. And it does feel, I find it is very fulfilling in a sense, especially you can tell when it's, to me, something meaningful when one that I can't walk away from it. I'm like, I can't put it down. It keeps drawing me back in. I want to keep building on it and building on it and building on it. And also when you do lay it down and walk away and it stays with you and it's like a message that's kind of ingrained or whatever in your psyche that you actually spend the time thinking about it. There's I don't feel like any song is ever finished. You get to a point when you have to stop, but I think it's just like a extension of whatever you're creating. And even sometimes years after hearing something that I've been involved with writing, where I'll go back and go, what if we added this part, or what if we changed this up? And that's the beauty too of playing this stuff live, because anybody's ever played live shows for over a course of time with original songs, those songs morph as you go along. The more you play them, the more things come in. And to me, that's something I'm looking forward to as well with some of the new music, to see, where it goes once we take it out and play it live.
Yeah, there's a book I read called How to Write One Song. I think it's by the lead singer of Train, maybe. And the one thing that I got out of that book is a song is never finished. You just abandon it in a really good spot, something along those lines. So at some point you just have to say, okay, this is good enough. The thing I've liked about the way that this CD is coming about is I think that Steve and Leon and I tend to write more in a vacuum. Same thing for Ed too, but Ed and I spent probably over the course of maybe 3 weeks around the Christmas break, we just sat down and hammered out some of his ideas, and those things show up as well. One of the songs was Leon and Ed, a combination of the stuff that they had put together. It was like seemingly disjointed, but then it came around into what I think is a really, really good song. So I think there's a combination. It's not going to be something like Fear Inoculum from Tool or Division Bell from Pink Floyd. It's going to be kind of a blend. There's going to be things that really stitch well together, and then there's also going to be things that stand well on their own. And even the things that stitch together, honestly, I think that they stand well on their own as well. So I think it's pretty exciting. See how it ultimately turns out.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody has any opinions, Steve.
Jason. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I love stuff like that. Like the ones that you're talking about is just stuff that parts of things that Ed had and parts of things that I added to it that we jammed around on at a rehearsal room, that I think you happened to pick up on the riff, and then all of a sudden, hey, there's a song. And even after that, over time, that song continued to develop into where now it feels like it's done, and I don't mean done finished. I mean, like,
you're abandoning it in an interesting spot.
We've cooked it long enough, and it's time to serve. So
yeah, it's like Jason and Ed worked together on a song, and they brought it to the table, and we listened to it and everything, and tried it out, and I forget what the name of the song was called at the time. What would you guys call it? Was it
I think initially it was
anxiety or something.
We had Throwing Stones.
End of Anxiety.
What it was called?
End of Anxiety.
Was that it?
Is that the one that started with the real slow guitar work? Is that the one you're talking about?
No. The one we're doing now.
That was Throwing Stones.
Throwing Stones.
Yeah, Throwing Stones.
What did we call it?
It was called Throwing Stones.
It was Throwing Stones.
So we started playing it.
That's right.
To work it out, and instantly I got.
Thank you, Leon.
Hey, no problem, man. I'm here for you.
With words that I was hearing instantly. So next thing you know, I'm finding myself writing lyrics for this song, and I had to apologize to Jason. I was like, dude, I know I just kind of stepped on your toes here, but this is what I heard, and I mean, I'll say that the name of the song is called Damnation Riders, which is about the Four Horsemen. And what I was hearing when we started working on the music, I don't know, it just took me there. I don't know, it just instantly, and I don't know. I think it's more very nicely. I guess, like I said, I apologize to Jason because I felt like, dude, I know you wrote some lyrics here, but I'm sorry, but this is what I'm feeling. This is what hit me. It's all good. I mean, we all have our own 2 cents in the writing process and music process, and there's songs that I brought to the table from old bands that I've remorphed, rewritten. Leon himself, he's brought some songs that we've had to rewrite the lyrics to a little bit,
change the music up here and there.
Change out a lot of swear words.
Yeah, that wouldn't be funny if it was true, Jason.
Well, we had to do that with one of my songs too, but yeah, I think Steve, to your point, I mean, I'm tremendously hurt that you took away my lyrics, but it's a process. I'm working through it. Time heals all those wounds. But I think that the thing I love about these guys and even Rochelle is that if you put your ego aside and you're really open to that input, to really consider what really would make a song a great finished product, when you allow other people to contribute and you don't take everything that you bring to the table with a closed fist, it really becomes a lot easier. So yeah. I think that'll show through here in the next CD.
So you guys don't like arm wrestle when there's a dispute?
Oh, we never said that.
That's funny.
If anybody got a hard stop at an hour tonight, because there's so much more music to listen to, and it seems like the conversation's flowing really well. Does anybody have to get off at 9, or can we go a couple minutes longer?
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right, cool.
I had a rugby match I was going to play in, but
I'm trying to get to playing. I want to get to playing this piano over here in the back corner of the room.
Yeah, that's a fun looking.
When did you get that, Leon? That looks like quite an investment.
Came from Amazon.
Thank goodness they have free delivery.
Not Chinese. There's no tariffs involved. It's made in America. Paid a good price for it. It's good quality piano.
Free shipping, you said?
Yeah. Free returns too.
So Daniel says hello. Welcome, Daniel. So glad you're listening.
Daniel.
And Larry McCoy, going back to the streaming versus media, physical media. I missed the good old days, vinyl, cassettes, CDs. My personal opinion, I think technology streaming ruined the music today. Yeah, I'd have to agree.
I don't know about ruined, but Larry, just let you know, I don't know if I've ever told you this before because we've known Larry for a while, but I still have a cassette deck plugged into my main computer here in my office. So I have quite a cassette collection.
It's right behind.
Every now and then I go, man, I got to hear this album, and I go get the cassette and I drop it in here and I rip it off to my PC and stick it on my phone and put on some headphones and go listen.
I remember having 8 tracks.
I remember 8 tracks, but I've got a turntable, a dual cassette, and a CD player on my rack. So
I think it definitely changed the dynamics without any doubt. But it's kind of been a mixed blessing because it allows some of that creative power to be put into the hands of the musicians that are actually doing the creation of the music. Yeah. But at the same time, it also makes it a little bit more nebulous and a little bit more ubiquitous. And it's difficult to really justify saying, well, why should you be charging for this? Or why shouldn't you be doing this free? So yeah, when there's a saturation of content, it's like, well, I should just be able to go grab what I want. So yeah, I totally get both sides of it, but yeah, I really there's something about holding some physical media in my hand. Yep. But then again, I also like the freedom to be able to go out and pick and choose whatever I want. So I'm not going to die on either hill.
Leon's disappearing. He's like a ghost.
Yeah, his cassette's
I'm hiding behind this cassette that's laying right here next to me.
Oh, that's even the plastic case on it,
it
too.
is. Yeah,
Is that right?
Plastic case.
Wow.
Yep.
Do we need an interpreter for the young people of what that is?
So,
give them a pencil and let them twirl.
Yeah, I remember. So I'm going to give my PSA real quick, and then we'll listen to another tune. If you want good music, you got to pay for it, ladies and gentlemen. Buy the CDs. Buy when your favorite band is coming out with new music. Don't ask for comps. Don't bootleg it. Don't borrow somebody's and burn it. Buy it, because that's how we get to keep the good music coming. So that's my PSA.
Or download the MP3s. Oh, it's expensive to be in a band. Download the MP3s.
Yeah.
So.
And when you go to the show, don't ask to get put on the list. Pay for admission. Support the band. Right.
Yeah, buy 3 or 4 tickets. Who cares if you use them?
Exactly. There you go.
Hand them out to somebody on the street.
Hand them out.
I want to give them to my mom because I'm not comping her either. So.
All right, so we got another tune on deck. Give them Jesus. Who wants to tell us about that before we put a little clip on?
Give them Jesus. How that song came about was an ex-pastor friend of mine where I was going to church at. I played on the praise and worship team, on Sunday mornings, and there were some Sundays that I couldn't be there because either we were playing out of town somewhere, playing in festivals, and I would let him know ahead of time, hey, I'm not going to be here this Sunday. And every time he knew we were playing out somewhere, he always said, give him Jesus. That was his thing. And I'm like, you know what? I like that. And I told him, I'm going to use that for a song. Like, you have my blessing and everything else. And matter of fact, in the beginning of the video, that's my pastor at the time, Pastor Mike Ambergy, who was, if you go listen to the video, that was him. And at the end of the video too, you can hear him talking. He's like reading like doing a sermon. And so yeah, that's how that song all came about. So lyrically, the give them Jesus part, you go out to the world and you try to reach those who are lost. That's what we're set to do. We're supposed to go out and reach those people, whether drug addiction and gambling addiction. That's what that song. If you can't find the words to say to somebody that's in need of help, give them Jesus.
Yep. Right. With that, let's go ahead and take a listen. And
sounds good, don't it?
Yeah, it sounds great. There we go. So there was Give Them Jesus. That's good. Another good heavy one with a great intro.
It attracted my cat.
Oh, got the cat.
So what's the cat's name, Brian?
My cat's name is Pebbles.
Pebbles. Hi, Pebbles.
No.
And then I got another clip. COTL is what my clip says.
Look at the light.
What's that?
Children of the Light.
Children of the Light. Awesome. So tell us about that one.
Children of the Light is as scripture. It talks about we don't belong to the night or darkness, just what the scripture is. Talks about we should be sober and not blind. So that's basically what that song's written about, basically around that scripture.
Okay, let's take a listen. So how much fun did you guys have doing that song? Because it sounds like a lot going on here.
Yeah.
It's a fun song live.
It is a fun song. Yeah. It was fun in the studio too. We had fun with it when we recorded it.
I could tell.
I think isn't that one, Steve, that we slipped out a little tiny preview of back when we were recording that record? I seem to recall seeing a video of that recently, maybe on your Facebook page, or maybe it was on another web page.
When we were in the studio
or something. Huh?
When we was in the studio?
Yeah, just a clip of us playing it back and listening to it while we were mixing it with Ron. I seem to recall that little breakdown in the middle of that song being that clip. It's a cool part of the song too. Cool song.
One of the things I like about that song is that in the studio, Greg went nuts on the drums, and I love that. It's really cool. But one thing I would really hope that folks would do is go back and listen to the audio with both ears in, because it actually captured it in stereo. And then whenever you can look at Leon's video, he's like pixelated and all kinds of like things are happening there with his virtual background. It's really cool.
Thanks for noticing, Jason.
Yeah,
it's video worthy. It's really cool.
Yeah, I didn't know if anybody was noticing that or not.
I was laughing about that. That's what I was laughing about.
That was me morphing between dimensions.
That's exactly what it looked like.
And that's what the audio is at the beginning of that song, is a capture of what that sounds like when I morph between dimensions. So
and we caught it here live.
Right on. You're welcome.
All right. Well, this has been a really great time with you guys. Any parting words? Anything that? Oh, where can I buy your music if I'm so inclined? Let's let people know where they can find you, get your music, merch, all that.
You could get our music through Rocks Records, our website, weaponsofgod.com. Yeah, I want to know where you got that shirt. I want a Rocks Records shirt. We don't.
When we first got signed by Bill Bafford at Rocks Records, they had it on. It was called ChristianBandShirts.com.
Oh yeah.
But now it's Anchor Merchandise.com.
Anchor.
Yep.
Does Anchor still sell those?
I'm not sure.
Rochelle, call Bill. Tell him we want some. I'll write him a check.
You guys are signed by him, so you can contact him too. It's like, hey,
we
Bill.
We also have another CD out. It's a compilation CD called Ammunition Edition.
Okay.
We sold out both CDs through Rocks, so Bill came up with this idea. Well, why don't we put a compilation CD, put some of your best songs on there, that you guys use. Like it was almost like a concert set limited edition kind of deal. So that's what that is. So that's available on Rocks Records, Ammunition Edition. And like I said, you could buy our songs, our music, CDs on the website as well. You could go to Spotify, Amazon,
Yeah, but
iTunes, all that. So it's out there.
I found you can go on eBay and actually buy our music from Germany if you like, and it's called White Power Metal.
Oh, wow.
I actually messaged the guy because it came across to me as they were saying white power, and he's like, no, it's like it's white power metal as opposed to black power metal. It means it has a positive message. And I didn't tell him who I was, but I said, yeah, well, to me it sounds like it's a band that's singing about some white power nonsense. He didn't take it very well. Plus, I think he was asking way too much for the CD.
Probably need to put a comment in there somewhere.
I don't know. I didn't buy it. I just wanted to know why he had us listed as a white power metal band.
Well, the Ammunition Edition actually does have an additional song that's not available anywhere else, right?
Right.
Well, that's available on Spotify and your media plays like that.
You can see that song online, but you can't own it unless you buy that CD.
Right. You can't. Yeah.
Well, it's on the Rock's Christmas compilation CD that he did in last year also. I don't remember the name.
That's right too.
Oh, we're on there too. We did Deck the Halls.
Yeah.
Okay.
That.
So
That was fun.
It's to everybody who hates Christmas music. Jason wrote it and lyrically, and it's Jason. You can tell him about your song. Actually, Jason sings
it's
it.
A Christmas. I know this is going to be a shocker, but it's a Christmas song.
It's a Christmas.
No way.
Yeah, it's about Christmas type of stuff. But the music isn't exactly.
I mean, he's using this Irish, Scottish, I don't know, accent for the whole song, and it just played out very well because I know I couldn't pull it off. Or Leo, I don't think either one of us could. It just was perfect the way the way Jason presented the song to us, So it was a lot of fun. It's just a fun song.
And that too was a song that kind of came about at the right time for the right reasons, and I think actually sort of kicked us off into the recording process. Really, when you think about it, as far as we've traded tracks here and there. Over the last however many months, and that was like one of the first ones too. So it was a good experience.
I think Ed could have pulled it off. As silent as he's been, I think he had it in him. But it's already out there. Sorry.
You guys are chatterboxes. I let you kind of lead the way and go ahead and talk to your heart's content, and I just sit back and listen and absorb.
Well, you got anything you want to say? No?
Not really. I mean, you guys have covered a lot of different territory. I mean,
you'll be hard pressed to shut me up. So
you think?
You have to cut my audio.
Right there. There's Ed's main contribution to this conversation.
Yeah, Ed, you remind me of my drummer John Machma because he's a quiet guy. I got to really kind of kick him to get talking.
I think Ed's fooling you guys. He's not as quiet as he's coming off right here.
No.
He and I have been on some long car rides together, and Ed's very good conversation. So we've
had some good conversations about a variety of subjects.
When he plugs his bass in, he's definitely not quiet. He's very, very verbose, but in an extremely tasteful way. He said earlier that his one of his main influences is Steve Harris, and he can actually capture it really well. Can play. Ed, tell me what it is, because I'm not like all up on classical music, but he'll start busting out some, what's that guy's name, Beethoven, something like that.
Yeah,
he'll start playing the Beethoven leads on the bass, and I'm like, wow, that is really impressive. Guy's got some strong chops.
Well, that's really.
I wish I could hear you guys better.
We wish you could too, Ed.
But no, well, it is what it is.
Hey, Paul, I think for the first time having all these people on at one time, we did not too bad cutting each other off and stuff. I thought it would be like worse. So we did good.
Yeah, I think this was good. Everybody took their turns, and I don't think there was much talking over anyone. So yeah, fantastic. But thank you guys so much for coming on
Yes.
and getting the message out. Because, you know, what this shows, there's two things we want with this show. Glorify God, first and foremost. And second of all, we want to promote good music.
Yep.
And so to get you guys on, to be able to promote what you're doing, talk about your new music coming out, you know, that's really important to us. So we're so thrilled that you could be here with us tonight.
Well, we really
Thanks for
appreciate it.
coming on.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you both.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
the
you.
other folks,
Appreciate
too.
you guys taking the time. It's been a great experience.
Well, it's been fun
Awesome.
for us. Anybody have any parting words of wisdom they want to share before we close out?
Rock for the rock.
All right. Well, I'm going to close us out with a little more of your music, and we will.
Some song that Rochelle abbreviated the title to, and I have no idea what it means.
No,
Go to the light.
do we have any cover tunes that we did from We Are Resolute or not?
Not the covers, just the ones that we stole.
Lawyer?
You're not,
Wow,
you're not supposed to tell them that outright. Wait till the album comes out, Jason. Come on.
that one hits close.
All right.
Oh,
Children
didn't
of
mean
the light.
that,
Close us out.
brother.
And it's not playing for some reason.
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't even think
There
about
we go.
Jason, but I know what you're thinking now.
Greater the battle, the greater the victory.